Good afternoon once again, book lovers of the internet. I am Book Nerd 0802. I welcome you again to my channel. It's been a long time since I last made a book review, and in this video I am going to be reviewing this comic or manga volume rather called The Adventures of Johnny Bunko, The Lost Career Guide You'll Ever Need by Daniel H. Pink. Now, this one has about 160 pages, was a very quick read, and I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. So I borrowed this one from the Mosta Public Library, as you can tell by the sticker there, and it was my first time reading a self-help book in the form of a manga. I wouldn't say that this blew my mind or was revolutionary in any way, in my case. Not quite sure if anyone actually did find it to be useful, but the lessons within the book are rather interesting and I think they hold true. In several ways, I found this to be relatable, especially since I too have been living most of my life listening to people older than me giving me advice with regard to what I should do, when realistically they too are on a floating spherical rock in space and haven't a clue as to what is going on. We're all in the same boat, basically, but some people have a better boat than others. I plan on applying this advice to my YouTube career, not that I wasn't already, and two of the most useful pieces of information were that persistence trumps talent every time, and there basically is no plan. We're all just making our way through life and facing challenges which, in no way, could we have anticipated. The six rules are listed as well towards the end of the comic book. Basically, I didn't even need to read the whole thing, this would have been enough. So there is no plan, think strengths, not weaknesses, it's not about you. Persistence trumps talent, make excellent mistakes, and leave an imprint. It's all about this character called Johnny Bunko who works a dead end job basically, but then comes up with a brilliant idea through making mistakes, through understanding what is needed of him, through following his strengths rather than his weaknesses, and ultimately his brilliant idea is stolen and he isn't credited for it anyway. So, yeah, this took the form of a story whereby Johnny Bunko is stuck at a dead end job and is given several chopsticks, which, when split, result in the appearance of Diana, a magical being who gives sound advice about how to run one's life. And speaking of chopsticks, I have a pair of my own as well, coincidentally, because I went out with my friends to have sushi yesterday. So I have a pair of my own right over there. Not quite sure why that was necessary, but anyway, let's move on. He ultimately makes a breakthrough, but isn't properly credited for it. To be fair, it's not really his hard work that allowed for such an amazing idea to emerge, so everything has to be said. Um, Honestly, he did have a good idea with regard to putting seeds in shoes, which are also bio-friendly, so that they could be biodegradable, right? And they would consist of seeds, and once the shoes are worn out, they could be buried and watered every day so that trees sprout from them. But apparently, that wasn't such a good idea because it would make a mess in homes, and this was considered to be a very excellent mistake through which Johnny learned a lot, apparently. Although it wasn't really clear, I feel as though this was rather rushed. There wasn't much cohesion in the story itself, but there were some good ideas in there. I did enjoy reading this one. However, there wasn't really advice which I hadn't yet been given. I mean, I've been reading self help books for a very long time now. I've read Jordan Peterson, I've read David Goggins, I've read James Clear. I've read several books which gave excellent advice, so this wasn't really anything new. And honestly, making excellent mistakes from which you can learn more than the humiliation caused is worth isn't such a bad idea. I mean, I totally agree with that, but it's not something that I found to be new. Most of these ideas are presented as revolutionary, but really they're quite peripheral and they're not delved into nearly enough because they're so easy to understand and to apply, really. Um, there are some recurrent themes, much like Johnny being referred to by a different name, starting with a J as well each time, and each chapter, each time a new rule is introduced, and Diana saying Jamata, which were rather fun, I suppose. It added to the idea that this one is a manga volume rather than a comic book. And I also enjoy the fact that this was a manga more than that it was a self help book. And I'm glad to have another genre having been explored under my belt. I don't recall ever having read a self help book in the form of a manga volume before, so this was a first for me, which is something that I am happy to have done. And I basically borrowed this one from the library yesterday, and I finished reading it this morning because I had a few minutes to spare, and I basically breezed through it. So, yeah, as I was saying, nothing particularly special, but I think I would recommend it if you would like to have a lovely 30-minute break and perhaps learn something new, feel inspired for a while. I mean, many of these tips I can even apply to my YouTube life. For instance, the fact that I am very persistent on here. I wouldn't consider myself to be a talented YouTuber. I mean, I am doing all this through persistence, really. I am learning through doing this every single day and taking it very, very seriously, prioritizing it even. So, yeah, I would say that persistence does indeed trump talent because when I began, I had no clue with regard to how YouTube works. I was very shy in front of a camera. I didn't really know how to speak with people. I couldn't articulate quite well. I couldn't really express myself in a decent way, which would allow for people to continue watching. But I think over the years, much of that has changed. I have much more experience. I've learned how to improve the thumbnails, how to speak in English better, what people expect from me, what the algorithm wants as well. And I've improved through persistence rather than talent, basically. But yeah, I think that is all I had to say about Johnny Bunko. Not sure if there are any other volumes. Wouldn't really care about them, to be honest, despite having enjoyed this one. But anyway, that is all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Take a look at the rest of my content because why not? It's absolutely amazing. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.